When we started the recording, we're going to go live over here on LinkedIn, and then we will get going. So let me get my stuff set up here.
Happy Friday, everybody.
All right, everyone. Welcome once again to the Manufacturing E-Commerce Success Series. I'm your co-host, Damon Pistolka. With me today, we've got Curt Anderson, the other co-host of this show. So, Curt, how are things today?
Hey, dude, they are absolutely flawless, perfect. Happy Friday, everybody. We're past the midpoint of July, believe it or not. I can't believe it. So I know it's summertime. Some of our faithful, they're traveling today. So I know it's summertime. People are off playing, but hey, we've got business to take care of today. So Damon, we have an amazing, incredible guest. Is everybody sitting down for this one? Don, are you sitting down? Gene, Paul, this is a rock star. We're going to get in why he's a rock star. But Kevin Burrell, Kevin, happy Friday, my friend. Welcome, and thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So, guys, quick little backdrop on Kevin. He has built an amazing, incredible career. He is an alum of Google. He's actually worked for Google, and that's our topic today. We're going to talk about Google Shopping. He is an alum of Pinterest. I mean, you really, dude, you've really built up like the who's who list on that incredible resume. What a great career.
Yeah.
You've just transitioned to a brand new company. We're going to talk about that. But you know what? For my Big Ten roots, I think I saw on your LinkedIn profile, are you a Hawkeye? Did I see that correctly?
Yes, I am. Iowa Hawkeye.
Oh,
man.
Iowa.
He's an Iowa Hawkeye. He's an Iowa Hawkeye. He has a master's from DePaul, if I'm not mistaken. So, again, a wonderful, illustrious career. Now, after college, what did you do, Kevin? To my understanding, you were promoting a little rock band. Do I have that right?
Yeah, I mean, after graduation, kind of finding myself in your 20s like everybody else does, I spent a little bit of time promoting a rock band. A couple friends of mine, did pretty well for themselves for a little bit, but then found my start in marketing and digital advertising and took it from there.
That's cool. It always stinks when we have to grow up and get that, quote, real job, right? We all wanted, you lived it. We all wanted to work with rock bands. You lived it. So good for you. So let's dig right into our program today. We want to talk about Google Shopping, and let's just, I hate to go back to the basics for anybody out there that's not familiar with it. What is Google Shopping, Kevin? Explain a little bit of the difference between Google Ads and Google Shopping.
Yep. So where Google ads are more text-based ads that allow you to go in and use a search query to retrieve a text-based result, Google Shopping ads are a little bit more richer of an ad unit where you submit product data. And the end result is when somebody does a product search within the search platform, you get an ad result that focuses on a product, meaning a product image along with the title and a price with it. Click on that ad, and it redirects you to your online store where somebody can complete a purchase.
Nice.
Perfect. So, guys, just, in layman's terms, when you do that Google search, and like Damon and I, we always use that example of just, what do we wear every day? Shoes. Yeah. You do that Google search for shoes, and at the top, you're seeing a whole list of shoes. Yep. So, Kevin, let's dig in. So why would we target manufacturers? Talk about the benefits of Google Shopping over just a plain text ad.
Yeah, so I mean, I think the big benefits of Google Shopping over a plain text ad is one, it puts the image in front of a user as well as the price. So really shows you what you're looking to purchase and gives you that price, that kind of upfront information that consumers really look for in order to help them make a more informed decision to finalize and transact on a purchase. I also want to add in, I think what really makes Google Shopping great is that the experience of clicking to an ad and then driving to an e-commerce platform, instead of a closed or walled garden like some of the marketplaces you have, Google really empowers you to really direct to your website and drive traffic to your website versus have your products be contained within a marketplace.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I really like about the Google Shopping platform. When you're using it, a lot of if you own your platform, a lot of those platforms will integrate with Google Shopping directly and upload the product data almost automatically through the feeds, and you can instantly put thousands of products in that Google Shopping feed overnight, really.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's a great segue to some of the topics that I really want to help explore with your audience today, especially that data piece, right? Because that data and data feed piece is really integral to success on Google. like your bids and budget. But if you want to like get established on the Google platform, it really comes down to like strong data. Like if you can provide that high quality data, that's what really helps translate to success. And I really want to start there. It's like, what is high quality data and where does it start, right? And for any sort of like manufacturer creating a data feed, that high quality data is going to come from the content that is either contained on your website or contained within some sort of like. So really, when you're thinking about like a feed and a product feed, those attributes that Google's asking for, compare it to the content that you have, and start asking yourself, like, what are the consumers of your product really looking for? What do they need to know? And that could help inform which attributes that you really hone in on to find success on Google. I think one thing I'd love to give to your audience is that not only are the required attributes very useful, but there are some optional attributes that kind of help control like where your ads show. The Google Shopping website, the actual shopping site that you hit on Google that actually takes you to the Google Marketplace, or if it is on like Google Images or YouTube, not only the campaign settings that you opt, allow your ads to appear in multiple spaces. So it gives you the opportunity to get in front of more eyeballs and potentially more consumers.
Yeah.
So Kevin, let's dig deep into that. So, so if anybody's familiar with Google ads, again, think about the text ads. So, for years, and Kevin, you've been doing this for a long time, for those that's been around a while, you remember in the 2000s, boy, Google was a very clean slate. There was never an image on a Google search result. It was all text-based. Well, what changed? Pinterest. Amazon, online shopping markets, the social media platforms now started blasting images everywhere. And so now Google's facing fierce competition from a search standpoint. So they had to get into the image game. Thus, they really started going aggressive with Google Shopping. So on Google Ads, I'm going to do a text ad. I'm trying to capture somebody's attention, almost like a newspaper, a little headline. Hey, click my ad. You're going to love my product. X% off, or some type of a call to action, right?
Yeah.
And I have the ability to use my keywords in my Google Ads, right? So talk a little bit deeper on how can you have a good, effective strategy, when I can't put all my keywords into that Google Shopping feed. How does that work?
Yeah, that is a great question. And I think it's also a myth that we could potentially bust, right?
Awesome. Cool.
I think that there's a lack of understanding that I'm so used to text ads that when I try to apply the same strategies of text ads to Google Shopping, it doesn't work. And to be honest, it's kind of a yes and no. I think where I want to focus the audience on thinking about is, yes, you can use those keywords, except when you think about Google Shopping, don't think about it as keywords, think about it as product metadata. Specifically, a good example is product titles, right? Those are the places where I'm going to really load up on my important keywords. Putting the most important the product title, specifically like brand, what the actual product title is, and any other additional attributes that help really describe the data. I'd say you want to include about maybe 75 characters is a good length for a product title. And then if you don't have additional room to add those keywords into the product title, you can always default to two other attributes, which is primarily product description. And then the last one is product type, which is a kind of like free text field that most retailers use to kind of like demonstrate or show their product taxonomy. So those are the places where I really like focus on those keywords, the most important keywords, not only to your audience, first and foremost, those people who are shopping for it, but then the keywords that are important to you in order to be able to show in the spaces that you want to.
Yeah. So when you talk about attributes, what are some of you said the title, obviously, to get the keywords in, but you said there were other product attributes they should be talking about. Is it appropriate for us to kind of dive into that a little bit now, or wait?
Yeah, no, let's dive into that now. I mean, first and foremost, you always want to give the required attributes. The required attributes are there in order to make sure that you kind of the entry point to getting your product to show required attributes, and really nailing down those required attributes first, because that's going to constitute your success and allow you to get past the Google policies. Secondly, you want to look at the optional attributes. The optional attributes, if you use those optional attributes when you're on the Google Shopping page, you'll notice that on the right-hand rail, there are those navigational buttons to help you, not only as you do a product search, narrow down your product search.
Yeah.
And especially for B2Bs and kind of manufacturers who are using that, those optional attributes give you those options and those filters on the right hand side to help shoppers who are on the Google Shopping page really narrow down and find the product that they're looking for. So keep that in mind as well, especially as you try and like open up and try and get your products distributed across the whole Google platform.
Yeah, great.
This is awesome.
Yeah, I'm going to ask one more question.
Yeah, please.
So if I'm making something, and so your optional attributes, I didn't really realize this because it's always been kind of a fixed product that I've worked with, or products. So your optional attributes will allow you. So if I made something in 3 different sizes, it would show them all, but you could sort by size or sort by whatever, the different attributes of that product, color or something like that, to be able to help it.
Exactly.
Okay, cool.
That's good point about attributes. Specifically, when you have or when you're in Google, make sure to include, right? So I think a good example might be like a Craftsman wrench, right? And let's say that Craftsman wrench comes in like 4 different colors. We're just using this as a hypothetical example. Make sure that you include all this like the color variants in there to be able to like really help users who are looking for maybe a red variation find that red variation right away versus the black variation.
Awesome. Wow, this is juicy, isn't it? This is great information. So, and everyone, if you have any questions, please drop in the chat box. Paul, thank you. Paul dropped his LinkedIn profile. We have Kevin's LinkedIn profile in the chat box. I encourage everybody, drop a hello, put your LinkedIn profile in there. Let's all connect. So, Kevin, we have a couple folks online today. As a matter of fact, we're spanning each coast. So we have Don up in Alaska. He manufactures this amazing, incredible fishing lure. We have our dear friend Jeffrey Stern. Jeffrey owns a company called Voice Express, and he does. If you've ever been to Build-A-Bear, or if you've ever purchased a bear for a child, that little recording device that goes inside that bear, that comes from Jeffrey Stern at Voice Express. He also does like audio brochures that are speaking brochures, that type of thing. So for folks like that, this is a great tool and a great resource where conversions I found are typically much, much higher on Google Shopping than they are on your text ads. Sometimes somebody they don't read the entire ad, they don't pay attention, they're curious, they're tire kickers, and they're just going to click. Or in a case, so like Damon, you're very familiar with my ground strap guy, right? So I have a client that uses ground straps. Well, there's different types. There's like a ground strap that can go on the heel for if you're doing electrical work and you want to be grounded, and it's a totally different product. Well, we don't want those clicks. So by having that picture and that visual helps those conversion rates. Kevin, as far as like increasing conversion rates for either like Don or our friend Jeffrey, what are some other tactics that you would recommend for them in their Google Shopping initiative?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I've seen success with is visuals and testing visuals. One thing that I would really encourage manufacturers and retailers to think about is not just providing a product image, but also thinking about maybe a lifestyle image. And what we characterize a lifestyle image as is a image that actually shows the product in action, or specifically like by showing uses, it kind of gives users that context about what the product's main intention is and how others might use it. So definitely like think about that and within your content strategy. Just having a product shot is great. Shows users what they're buying, like those lifestyle images and leading with those lifestyle images really helps to show how the product is being used.
Okay. Like we're in class right now.
That was key right there. Cause we talk about the ground straps, we talk about tennis shoes, we talk about all these other things, but when you talk about marketing in general, and you talk about, your homepage, everything else, the lifestyle images are seeing people using the product or service is so important. And as I was reading the other day, it's just happy people using your stuff is what gets that first curiosity to get people to click. So I can see why that lifestyle image of a product certainly will help.
Yeah, and definitely. I mean, Google does have guidelines to like say, hey, show the product in a white background, etc.
Yeah.
But if you do include that lifestyle image, and you have the opportunity to lead with that lifestyle image, especially on other platforms as well, like your Facebooks, your Pinterest, etc., that can really help from a content perspective, help your product stand out versus all the others in the crowd.
Yeah.
Well, this is powerful. And so, guys, teacher is in classes in session. Teachers in the house right now, right? So, Kevin, this is why we had you on. So I want to give a shout out and hello to Gene. Gene, hello, my friend. John, thank you for joining us. Hope everything's great in Jersey. My friend Don up in Alaska has a question for us. And this is perfect because, Kevin, I didn't know about the lifestyle images, and I'm glad Don is chiming in. So Don has this amazing fishing lure. It's a scented fishing lure that he produces. So his question to you is: are there limits to motion images on Google?
Yeah, I mean, I think right now, like motion images, they did have a test where they did 3D images that was not seen as successful as some of the other things that we talked about, like file images and including the images. In terms of like motion and motion images, right now, I would hold off on that unless there's a way to test it. My understanding is like on the platform, especially on the ads, there's no way to include that kind of like motion image on there. Make sure to really like drive that home on your product detail webpage. Exclude that from the product feed for now.
Yeah. And real quick, I was going to check. We got a lot of action going on here on LinkedIn. I don't know, there's 30 comments or something already. So awesome discussion here today. We got April Kelly join us. We got Ahmed joining us. We got let's see who else, Cypher, and then who else, Jennifer. So thanks a lot for commenting on LinkedIn. We got a lot of people going on there. Keep the comments rolling. I'm putting them up as we can. Thanks.
So Kevin, let's if we could, and this is more for me, like let's talk a little bit more on these the lifestyle images. So again, hitting our audience here. So like Don, our fishing lure, or Jeffrey, who does audio brochures. What would be some examples that you have found with over your experience that would be powerful for those folks to use?
Yeah, I mean, lifestyle images, I mean, especially if we're talking about lures, probably like close-up images of the lures with probably a background in terms of like where or how it can be used. Maybe an action shot of somebody using the lure with the emphasis being on the lure. So maybe guys in the background doing the cast, but up closer, and your picture is the lure starting to fly into the water. So just kind of think about like when you're developing content, how you want your product to be seen and the light that you want it to be seen. But also on top of that, right? Like if you're trying to enhance the image, again, like going back to those optional attributes, like all the attributes in combination in terms of how you want to highlight your product and like really take advantage of that. I think one attribute that I saw success with while I was at my time working with a big box retailer at Google is there was I believe a bullet image attribute that we're trying to test. It's been renamed. It's the name's escaping me on the top of my head right now, but you could add those bullet or list features within your product feed. And while you're not only like using that lifestyle image to like really cast and show prominence of the product that you're having, you can now include like bullet points to highlight key features of it. So again, you called out like scented lure, right? You could use that bullet point attribute to call out like or how many inch of line that comes with that lure, and what scent does the scented lure come in, etc.
Yeah.
Oh God,
nice
this is so, man, Paul in Jersey, is this just amazing or what? So anyway, so let's keep this party rolling, guys. I'm gonna put Kevin's LinkedIn profile. If you're coming in late, Kevin is an alum he actually worked at Google. He's worked at Pinterest. I mean, we've really brought in a high level authority on this topic. Kevin, in your experience, what are some of the negatives? What are some of the challenges? When I say negatives, what are some of the challenges that you've seen with retailers or with Google customers with Google Shopping? What are some like common problems and mistakes that you see?
Yeah, so common problems and mistakes that I was exposed to, global trade identification number, or GTIN. What that is the barcode that comes with the product when it gets scanned through on most big box retail stores. I've seen that most not most of the big box retailers that I had, if they weren't being supplied a G10 through their supply chain after purchasing from the manufacturer, often struggled with Google policies in terms of providing a G10. So if you're a manufacturer, it's really important to not only have that global trade identification number for your product, especially if it's being sold in retail stores across the country, but also be able to supply that to your suppliers. So not only for you to list it, but they to list it as well. So really like trying to fight those Google policies by just providing high quality and accurate data. Not only that, the second thing that I saw as a challenge is pricing, right? I think with a lot of smaller outfits and even manufacturers, providing a data feed at times is a challenge because your product data might not update on a day-to-day basis like some of the big box retailers or more established boutique brands that are out there. What I would encourage is like try and figure out some way to automate your product data and get that data feed in there every day with accurate pricing and availability information. Pricing and availability information is really key because especially as a business owner or like a consumer searching for that like that product is available and ready to go and at the price I want it. And if I can't get it with you, then it bounces me to somebody else who might be able to provide that service. So don't miss out on a sale. Really try and like push that accurate and comprehensive product data out there to Google on a daily basis. And that will definitely help with some of your long-term results.
Awesome. And I like what you're saying, so as far as like, we have small manufacturers, boutique was the word you use. Our dear friend Daisy up in Alaska, she makes amazing dog treats. Daisy, my dog, thanks you and loves your dog treats. But that's, I love that tip. So as they're selling direct to consumers, they have their own UPC or like that GTIN number. However, if they're going after resellers, this is very valuable information to make sure that they're providing that correct information to their resellers that might be using Google Shopping for those products. Yeah. Right. That's what you're, that's
definitely.
Excellent.
And I love the fact that you called out like a manufacturer that might have resellers, right? Because I think in the Google Shopping space, there might be a concern that, if I'm giving out this information to a reseller and that reseller is also bidding on the same things that I am, that reseller is going to trump me in the Google ad auction space. And I'm not going to have an opportunity to drive sales to my website. I think one area that businesses can focus on is a lot less of like that bidding component. Like let those other resellers like trump you within the auction unless you really feel like you need to have that first level slot, and let them kind of like drive the bulk of your business and continue to bring that to you. And I think one thing that you could do as a retailer, if you're in that spot and facing that, is you want to be able to help control or influence the product data that's going out, because you don't know what kind of information that reseller is going to push out there in order to kind of get that attention from Google. And where one solution that I was exposed to before and during my time at Google was something called Google Manufacturer Center. For those who are not familiar with Google Manufacturer Center, it kind of functions the same as Google Merchant Center. It is a repository in which you can add a product feed or product data in order to get that product data into Google. But what Manufacturer Center does is it allows a mechanism for manufacturers who want to be able to provide product data and like lead with their product data to be able to submit that data through Google Manufacturer Center and have some measure of control versus the resellers out there. And really like the spec and attributes are, I would say, vastly different, because what Google's trying to do is get more manufacturer specific information and let that lead or be the source of truth within the Google shopping platform that they have. So for those that don't understand it, you could just do a quick search for Google Manufacturer Center, really sit down, use the Help Center. Like if anything, like use the Google Help Center. The information is well documented out there. Spending maybe like 10, 15 minutes just going through it really helps save time and questions. But think about using Google Manufacturer Center, developing a product feed specifically for Manufacturer Center and submitting that to use that to kind of provide a measure or of safety and guardrails for you and your product the way you want it to be presented.
This is fantastic. And I have to admit, Kevin, you introduced something new to me. And I dropped the link in the chat box. And so check out the Google Manufacturer Center. What an incredible resource, Kevin. Thank you for introducing us to that one. So what are some of the, home runs? Like, you had wonderful success at Google, I believe 85% year over year growth, monster numbers. Again, we're a bunch of small entrepreneurs, we don't hit those types of numbers. But what were some of the best practices that you saw, or like, were any like real specific success stories that you saw that you want to share with everybody?
Yeah. Before getting into those success stories, ask the question, and I want to make sure to address that quick question for Don, and then come back.
Sorry. Yeah. My bad. Sorry, Don.
Come back to some of those wins. So I believe Don's question is like, is there software, even free software, to help automate pricing and pricing data? From what I'm seeing, there are systems and solutions out there. I mean, most of them are coming from like e-commerce and e-commerce platforms. Shopify is big and like getting bigger out there in the space. There are definitely through those e-commerce platforms that are available for businesses who are on those platforms to be able to like help submit that Google product data into them. Those as far as like free software to help automate that pricing data. I mean, it's kind of dependent on the platform you use or the technology you have. There are a lot of apps and solutions out there to help out with that. Have one I'd recommend over the other.
Yeah.
And Don, that's an excellent question. And Kevin, thank you for tackling that. And so a lot of our folks are using WordPress or WooCommerce. And so, and I know, like Don, we've talked with Jason, Jeffrey, you've worked with our friend Jason. And so we have those data feeds, coming right from WooCommerce that go right into Google Shopping, so we can keep that live, automated, so you're not babysitting it. So there's a lot of great tools and resources that you can. Yep, perfect. So Kevin, thanks, man. You got my back. I was supposed to be reading the chat box for you, and you reverse roles. So thank you.
No worries. Again, here to help. And I mean, kind of going back to your question, right? Like, what are the home runs that I've seen just different partners use? A couple of home runs that I've seen is one, margin data. I know everybody's afraid or doesn't want to share out what their margins are. But I have worked with 2 retailers in the past that have provided margin data and used that for like bidding and bidding components within Google. And what they did is, instead of providing like the margin numbers, what they did is they broke it out into kind of generic buckets like high, medium, and low margin, and then kind of group their products together to be able to bid up on those high margin products and bid down those low margin products. So consider margin data, especially if you have like a more robust catalog. Like, robust catalog to me means like over 1,000 products plus. If you have a catalog that big, then you could probably segment it into a lot of different buckets for that margin to bid on profitability and not just like bid on product visibility.
Yeah, that's a great point, because I've got a client where we were feeding about 100K SKUs into it, and the thing that was very helpful for us, and we didn't do segment and margin. That's a good idea, because we will do that. But the some of the stuff is amazing what you can figure out using Google Shopping and getting into the technical, into the my world, the geek stuff, to be able to really go that it doesn't sell well, or I don't want to be placing ads in New York City. I'm better in the rural areas around the city, so I can go by zip code or go by just there's so much of that. So I'm thinking of like Don with a fishing lure. You may want to exclude certain parts of the country and where you're covering and the times of day. It's got a lot of the same features that Google Ads does, to be able to control the way you spend your money on the shopping ads and do that, which really is like it is in the ads. It's very, very applicable in shopping as well.
Yes, definitely. You should definitely like really consider those like location targets. Definitely also think about who your audience is. Like, if you want to market more towards men versus women, or both. Like, I would say in regards to that, like, don't be afraid to market to both. Women buy items for men just as much as men buy items for women. And kind of like that broad targeting, start broad first and then start to narrow down like where your audience is based on the success of your campaigns.
Yeah. And just like with Google Ads, as your campaigns are running, you can see where you're getting the best return on your ad spend, and then take those areas out. If a certain geographical area, a certain demographic isn't really giving you the return you want, you can remove them from the campaigns and optimize your ad spend.
Yes, definitely. I think one other point to call out on that too is like audiences and uploading audiences into the platform based on users who are on your website, right?
Yeah.
If you already know who's coming to your website and who's completing purchases, like you can now use that audience to try and find like look-alike or act-alike audience who might also be interested in your platform and are also doing kind of like same types of behavior online.
Yeah, that's a great point. And that, especially for people that have, if you had 10,000 users that have been on your site, to upload that audience and try to target users like that on Google, it's very beneficial.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a great point. Cool.
Man, so let's do, man, we've covered,
No.
a lot, man. Let's do like a little recap here. So Kevin, best practices, I just want to run through things that we've covered in this short period of time. Attributes, you dug deep into how to fill out, how to optimize keywords, proper language, how to maximize those opportunities. A bombshell I love was those lifestyle pictures, right? Not just the product picture, those lifestyle pictures. So let's think about those. You talked about pricing, how to maximize those pricing opportunities, margins, any other audiences. I love that. So guys, folks we work with, Daisy, Don, we talk about, that buyer persona. We call them our soulmates. How do we speak to that right soulmate? And like you're introducing a great strategy of how we can apply an audience to our Google shopping strategy to pull in more of those ideal buyers. So this is phenomenal. Kevin, where do you see Google shopping, any, I don't know, predictions, but like, where's the future? Or like, what are you seeing like right now? Or what do you see 6 months or a year from now? Where's Google shopping heading?
Yeah, that's always hard to predict because like my experience there at Google's always testing and trying out new features. And I mean, even over this like last year from the pandemic, what we saw, Google open up and now they're able to accept Amazon feeds. We've also seen like the newest kind of rollout on YouTube, like they're starting to kind of move into that kind of like TikTok space with YouTube Shorts, but also within the shopping space, they're also like trying to explore live streaming. Live streaming is where I think a lot of the future is going to be at. I mean, of course, you have things reality and like virtual reality, but kind of like short term, for me, it's video. And I think what you're going to start to see is like more and more influencers use that video space to promote the products they love, maybe not like receiving a payment, but then once they start to get bigger and bigger, then that's when brands come through with those influencer marketing on like live streaming platforms in order to get products out there in the open. So crystal ball, like looking at it next 5 to 10 years, again, that live streaming shopping, more seamless payments and payment integrations, as we saw expanded by the pandemic that we have. People don't want to touch things. People want to have like touchless payments. And you're going to start to see kind of like payments and that payment start to grow as well. So a lot to look at and think about. Ultimately, really what it will come down to is like for you as a retailer, like really trying to own your site, as well as like making sure that you use the data that you have and captured on your website and distribute to these advertising platforms like Google specifically, which is the largest out there, but also like the Facebooks, the Bings, the Pinterest, etc. Get your product data out there. Try and like think of it as fishing. You cast a wide net and bring the customers to you.
Yeah. Yep. That's where those data feeds, I can't say those data feeds are so useful, because if you can get a good data, some sort of nucleus that'll put the data out to Facebook and Google and even Bing and other places like that, where you can hit the different platforms easy. It makes it so much easier.
Yep. And the great thing about those data feeds is for the most part, that Google feed spec is kind of the industry standard across all the platforms. So make sure you definitely set one feed up for success, maybe have like a master product data feed, and then use that to aggregate across all the platforms.
Yeah. Good stuff.
This is phenomenal because, like, again, our friend Jeffrey Stern, he does a great job. He promotes his product on Amazon. You do a lot of product searches. And so what we preach is like, hey, how can we dominate search? And by parlaying our strategies with those online marketplaces, with Google Shopping, you can come up multiple times, and like really kind of own some certain niche keywords. So it's an excellent opportunity. I love what you're saying about TikTok. I know Damon, I don't know if Bonnie's with us. She would love hearing that, TikTok is she's a TikTok queen.
Yeah.
She's crushing it there. Kevin, last question for you, because I could keep you all day, dude. I want to be mindful of your time and everybody's time. Service-based companies. So we deal with a lot of custom manufacturers that have processes. They're not OEMs, meaning original equipment manufacturers, where they have that finished good. Maybe could be accounting or other services. Are you seeing service-based companies using Google Shopping as a tool?
Yeah, that's a great question. As far as like service-based companies, like Google Shopping right now at this point is not built for that. It's more built for like hard products and being able to like promote those products on there. Service-based companies, I think one of the best players that I've seen out there trying to do this is like Best Buy, which is kind of like one, not only showing like that hard product, but two, offering the services alongside of it, like the Geek Squad or warranty deals. While it's not promoted on Google Shopping for that, they're trying to figure out ways where they're using kind of what I'd call like ancillary ads or ancillary spaces to really like not only pair that information through paid search text ads, but also with the shopping ads there.
Yeah, and I would think like I don't know if universities, but like courses, classes, so like some of those types of products, those would be, I think they would be applicable. Would they not? Like if you had like a company that did like training sessions or what have you, that you could sell a training sessions just as much as selling a pair of shoes, right?
Not there yet, but where that is the subscription-based software services. So, for instance, if you're doing like I think Microsoft and Microsoft Technology is a good point. Like if you're like doing like an online like selling of it, right? Google does support that. I think the other kind of instance that I've seen it is also within the telecom space, where it's like you sell the phone, but if you have a contract that discounts the phone, Google's kind of like given retailers an opportunity to kind of communicate that out. So they do really good with like understanding the space in the space of shopping. Service-based like kind of like offerings might not be there yet, but I wouldn't put anything past their like business and business development teams to like really look at that space in the future.
I agree. It's going to, you've really opened my eyes up to a lot of different, be interesting like SaaS products or QuickBooks or, software accounting. It'd be interesting to see how many people start taking advantage of Google Shopping. And even what we talk about with our custom manufacturers, where they're like, hey, we sell a process or, we make things for other people. Damon and I have talked about, well, what if you just created that finished good, use Google Shopping as a lead source, and then, get into the conversation of offering an RFQ or, request for proposal, that type of thing. So I want to be mindful of everybody's time. I know we're 10 after. We could talk all day, Kevin. I want to give everybody a chance. I'm sure folks are dying to talk to you at the tables. Don says that Appanage Fishing loves casting the net to real customers. So Don, dude, you're just like Google, right? We're casting those nets. Kevin, any parting words, any last thoughts that you want to share with our crowd?
I just want to say thank you, everyone, for allowing me to kind of like come here and be in this space and help have this discussion. Shopping is something of a passion of mine, and want to see everybody from like the biggest corporations to the smallest ones be successful.
Wow, this was just phenomenal. Daisy, Don, Gal, Gene, John, Paul, dude, ladies, love you guys. Thank you for joining us. It's always an honor when you're with us on our Fridays. Damon and I love doing this. Kevin's just like, Kevin, dude, you're just such a gift. What an absolute honor to hear you share your expertise with us. We appreciate it. We're honored. Thank you for taking your time. Damon, turn it back to you, brother.
All right. Well, that was great, Kevin. Like said, I get into this stuff too, and this is fun talking about it. And I won't get too technical with people, but Google Shopping is something that I'll tell you what, if you're using ads, you're selling products, and you're not using Google Shopping, you're missing out. And I feel we're very fortunate to talk to Kevin today. And I just want to thank everyone for listening to us on LinkedIn. I also want to remind everyone something that we got coming up that we are pretty jacked about for August. We're starting our digital success programs. We were running them in June. We got another group of them going on in August. And if anyone wants to start their digital journey, we've got some people that have been in it with Daisy and Dawn and some others that are on here that have been in it. But if they got any questions about that, I can drop that in. Actually, I can drop it in the chat. I'm going to play a Curt roll here, and I'm going to drop something in the chat. You can see what we got going on for August here, and I'm going to do that also on LinkedIn. But I want to thank everyone for watching us on LinkedIn. April, Jennifer, everyone else that was commenting like crazy on here. Thanks so much. But we are going to go back to the tables now. I'm dropping off a LinkedIn Live, and we're going back to the tables so people can talk with Kevin.
Thanks, guys. Happy weekend. God bless. Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
Awesome.